We have everyone talking about this conversation with the Rams, giving one particular group of the team a lot of the credit for some of the success we've been seeing of late. We're going to talk about what group of the team that is and who is talking about why this team deserves a little bit more, or this part of the team deserves a little bit more credit. All on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. If you guys are not subscribed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right here, right now. We have 91% of you still not subscribed. We appreciate seeing all the growth that we've been having the last few days, but of course, a little bit more wouldn't hurt, right? 8% of you guys are coming back. You are subscribed to the channel. We want a little bit more of you guys subscribe, and do me the favor. It is my birthday. I'm filming a birthday video today for you guys, so give me a little birthday gift. Hit the subscribe button. That'd be very, very much appreciated. Let's get into the first bit of story here. The offensive line. Are we underrated? Is that part of the team underrated? That is the group that I am talking about. We have multiple stories here discussing this right here, why the Rams offensive line deserves more credit. And I think I kind of agree here. I agree with this part. I think when you look at the group, right, that we have, just the names, the names of the offensive line, it may not be the most league-wide known guys. They may not be guys that you look at and you say, okay, Hall of Famer here, Hall of Famer there, right? No Andrew Whitworth on this offensive line, but they are a group that's come together, played really, really well, and I think that's one underrated thing when we're talking about the offensive line. The cohesiveness of an offensive line is really important. If the offensive line is completely on the same page, these big body guys who are blocking for their quarterback can get a lot of things done, right? There can be a lot of things that they can subside, right? But being cohesive, having that ability to talk to each other, to talk to one another, I think are very important aspects of an offensive line. And I think this team is doing a really good job of having that kind of cohesiveness. Again, luckily enough, they haven't dealt with the most injuries we've seen at the offensive line. Of course, guys getting banged up here and there, but for the most part, this team has been able to keep their guys together for majority of the season, and that has proven to be important here, creating the holes on for the running game, creating some time for Matthew Stafford to look down the field and see his open receivers, Puka Nacua, Kupp. And actually, speaking of Matthew Stafford, he had something to say about this that we're talking about right here, right now. I think our guys did an amazing job up front. When you look at it in the run game and in the pass game, they did a great job of keeping me clean against a really good rush. Then we had some creases in the run game too, so starts with those guys. They did a hell of a job, and when they do that, it allows us to go and operate at the receiver spot, at the running back spot, at my spot. So just proud of those guys, the effort they put forward today. This is Matthew Stafford, of course, talking about the effort the offensive line made during their game versus the Buffalo Bills. So ultimately, of course, if the quarterback's giving them praise, I think that's something that we need to do as well. I think it's just offensive line is always one of those groups on an NFL team that kind of can go easily underrated. You're giving your quarterback, multiple seconds to look down the field, right, and get those opportunities downfield. That's important, but the biggest thing is Kyren Williams and his success is super important to the team, right? Or we talked about the difference between what James Cook did in that game versus the Buffalo Bills versus what Kyren Williams did, right? James Cook maybe getting the ball about 10 times, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, versus Kyren Williams getting the ball 29 times, right? And I think if you're the Buffalo Bills, you're playing from behind. Of course, you're not going to run the ball that much. You want to trust, put the ball in Josh Allen's hands and trust your MVP quarterback. But at the same time, give credit to what the Rams offensive line was doing by allowing the team to get ahead, to stay ahead, by creating those lanes, to allowing and giving trust in Sean McVay to say, call a run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. We will find openings for Kyren Williams. We will eat some clock. We will keep the ball away from Josh Allen in that offense. And of course, they did it long enough to go ahead and win the game. So just a really important thing, I think, an important note to have here. If the offensive line is playing this well, I think the Rams are going to be in a good position to win some games. And I think it's not just what Matthew Stafford has to say. Here's a quick little quote from Sarah Barshop. Sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, but she has a quote here talking about some ESPN analytics on the Rams offensive line. Rams were 11 of 15 on third down against the Bills, an area they were struggling in. Entering Sunday, they were converting third downs 33% of the time, which was the third worst rate in the NFL. The third worst rate in the NFL, according to ESPN research. So there you have it, right there. There it is right there. The Rams offensive line, again, maybe you could say they were struggling or they haven't been playing well all season long, but when it mattered most. And like I had been saying and calling it, one of the biggest games of the season, if not the biggest game of the season for the Rams at this point of the season. They went out, they won the game. The Rams offensive line did a great job. 11 of 15 on third downs. And you do have to give some credit to guys like Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp for just being open, finding ways, finding seams, finding creases. Kyren Williams, rushing for some first downs as well. Give those guys credit, of course. I just think it's important to acknowledge you don't go 11 for 15 on third down if the quarterback's running around, trying to get open, trying to stay alive, trying to keep plays alive. Of course, maybe once or twice a game, it's fine, but you don't go 11 for 15 unless your offensive line is giving your quarterback time and giving your running back some space. So I think that's definitely a key thing here for the Rams moving forward. If the offensive line plays as well as they did versus the Bills, they will continue to see success and hopefully have a great playoff run. Speaking of playoff run, let's talk about that. Playoff run incoming. Are we going to see the beginning of a Rams playoff run? Again, I can't emphasize this enough. We did talk about this again a couple episodes ago. Rams versus Bills was a huge game. You're going to play a Josh Allen-led team. You're going to play a team that's on fire, a team that's playing well, a team that is still fighting for the number one seed in the AFC. What are you going to do when that team is ready to win, that team is ready to compete, that team has an MVP quarterback? Are you going to be able to keep up and compete with a team like that? They did. They showed it. They proved it. Now, is this the spark that the Rams need? Is this the proof that they need in the locker room? Okay, they've been listening to Sean McVay all season long. They've been playing hard, regardless of what the score is, regardless of what the record is. They've been playing hard, regardless of who goes down via injury. They're not giving up on the season. When we thought maybe the Rams, I thought maybe the Rams should maybe start talking about trading Cooper Kupp, trading Matthew Stafford, right? Possibly looking at the market to see what you can get for these guys, because maybe it's time to pack it in, call it a day, call it a era for Los Angeles Rams. You won a Super Bowl. Aaron Donald's gone. Let's move on into this new era of a young, fresh team. Let's go find a young quarterback. Let's just move towards the next chapter, right? At some point in this season, the fan base kind of was looking at the season like that, especially when you're sitting there at 1-4, right? And the Rams go ahead and they keep playing hard all season long. Again, Sean McVay led team. They're going to play hard regardless. They showed us that they didn't give up in the season. And now look at them, 7-6, one game behind the Seattle Seahawks. They already believed in themselves. They already believed in each other. They already believed in each other enough to keep playing hard. And now this win versus the Buffalo Bills is proof of all that hard work that they've been committing to all season long. This is proof now, hey, we are a good team. We are a legitimately good playoff contending team. Let's see what we could do here. And so here is, let's move on to the next screenshot. Still talking about ESPN Sarah Barshop. Here's a quote from her saying, inside linebacker Jacob Hummel's blocked punt, which was returned for a touchdown by tight end Hunter Long, was the Rams' first blocked punt since Week 7 of 2018, according to ESPN's research. It was also the Rams' first blocked punt return touchdown since the Week 3 of 2018. That is a quote from Sarah Barshop. And the reason why we're pulling up a screenshot like this is because we're talking about the Rams, again, on this playoff run or potential playoff run. Of course, look, at the end of the day, you're not going to play perfect football every single week. You're not going to get the best luck every single week, especially not when it comes down to the playoffs. We've seen playoff heartbreak all the time. But this stuff right here, the Rams continue to play hard, putting themselves in a good position, and then all of a sudden something that hasn't happened since 2018 happens. You got to continue to play. You got to continue to play well. And it looks like that luck or that those kind of the ball falling a certain way, the tiptoe from Puka Nacua, the first downs on a fourth down conversion to Tutu Atwell. These plays that you need to happen when you're about to go on a long playoff run, or at least a playoff run in general, are starting to happen a little bit for Los Angeles Rams. And I think they're happening at the right time for the team. I think we're in a situation where the Rams are ready and they're continue to compete on offense and defense. But offensively, they are playing at an extremely high level right now. We knew this was the potential that they could have when you're talking about Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee possibly coming back, Colby Parkinson stepping up, Demarcus Robinson stepping up, Tutu Atwell having his plays, the offensive line stepping up and having those plays. With that offense, it almost doesn't matter what the defense is doing, right? We put up 44 points. It can be very difficult for any other offense to keep up, but the defense has had its moments the last few weeks, excluding the Buffalo Bills game, which I don't want to hate on them for too much. They are showing flashes, showing capabilities of being a solid, strong defense. the Rams are on a playoff run. We're going to talk about that game versus the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode of the Rams Digest. If you guys aren't subscribed, again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's going to do it for me on today's episode, and I'm out.